if you can't deliver it in your own words, it's like it's chat GPT 101.
People who get to the first 10, 20K a month feel like they've made it.
That's easy. Like, that bit's easy. The real game is like you can 10 times that. November must be $40,000, I think. Making towards $1 million a year. It's a shitload of profit every month.
What mental barriers did you need to break to actually jump into the advertising game in the first place?
That was probably just like a...
All right, we are joined by Josh Bridgman. Josh Bridgman's been in the space for a long, long time now, so you very well may know him. And we've been working together for quite a while now, and we're going to break down everything down to his beliefs, his mindset around business, his own journey, and what he feels about the industry in general. So, Josh, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Josh Bridgman. I've been coaching a long, long time. I've been coaching since 20. I'm 33 now, so I've been coaching for 13 years. The industry's completely changed over that time. But in that time as well, I've been heavy into the bodybuilding side of things. So I am a professional bodybuilder as well. But been filming content, doing content for the best part of a decade as well. And that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. And straight into hard-hitting questions. Be honest. Do most online fitness coaches deserve more clients?
I think a lot of online coaches probably don't deserve the clients, if anything. I think a lot of people, like the systems, the scaling, all that stuff, it's incredible, but I think people forget how to actually coach first and foremost. So they might have like, hundreds and hundreds of clients, but I think like the churn's super, super high for them. So I would say that a lot of people don't necessarily deserve them because the client isn't getting what they deserve back.
Interesting. So another question for you is, what's the biggest lie fitness coaches believe about working hard?
I think that a lot of people think more is better. More of everything is better, which a lot of the time it is, but I think being efficient, being a little bit smarter about things is probably even better.
Interesting. So do you feel there is a point where most coaches live inside check-ins all day and neglect the fact that they need new clients come in to actually build the business?
For sure. Me, myself, back in the day.
All been there.
Yeah, like you like feel like, oh no, I've got 20 check-ins today, 30 tomorrow, 30 the next day, 30 the next day. You feel successful. But then when you look at the bank balance or the ins and the outs, and it's the same as 6 months ago. So is there real progression there? You might feel busy, you might feel like you got a lot to do, and for sure you probably do, but is the business actually moving in the direction that you want? Like, probably not if you're that busy.
Outside of fulfillment, check-ins, clients, what do you feel you were doing that felt productive that kept you stuck?
I would probably say the content that I was doing. Like, it felt like every bit of content was just me trying to get the leads that I needed. But if the messaging wasn't right, if the system that I had after the lead came in wasn't right, it was all relatively for nothing. As many reels as I put, podcasts, as many YouTubes as you can put up. If you haven't got the system in place to nurture those people all the way into the fulfillment aspect, it's like it's pissing in the metaphorical wind.
A lot of thoughts about content and how you can use that to get clients. But first, how did you grow first of all, YouTube audience as big as you did, and then Instagram audience as big as you did?
A lot of it was actually just my journey. I think it's a little bit different than the typical online coach, because it was just all very journey based. It was what I did, super honest. I don't know if anyone follows me out here, but I've always been honest about my anabolic usage, trying to be a pro, all that kind of stuff. I think people respected the transparency a lot, which just caught fire at the time. So a lot of it was just kind of just telling my own journey and telling my own story, and I think a lot of people just ended up relating to that. And then when I transitioned a little bit more into coaching, I think it created a little bit of a bridge for people to get across.
To be honest, I think it's swinging back in that direction where transparency and authenticity is becoming higher performing in the algorithm as well. So As you probably know, I'm very numbers, so I see
Yeah.
numbers for everything. And what we've seen, even with advertising as well, just raw stuff is outperforming on highly edited everything, highly scripted everything as well. And it's, you know, there was a few years where it was just like
Yeah.
absolute, just slam the
Yeah.
highest. And the other thing is, I've noticed, regardless of people trying to force authenticity, like it becomes very, very difficult if delivery on spoken word is bad. As in, like, you can tell when someone's trying to force a
Yeah.
script down a thing or trying to pretend to, let's say, go through a script. So, what do you see the biggest mistakes in general being made nowadays around content, organic?
Yeah. Like what you just said there, the script, I think there has been such a swing. You know, I think before people knew hook, body, call to action, it was very raw, and there was probably natural hooks and natural call to actions. Now everyone knows it. So every single coach is probably going, right, what's the best negative hook that I can do? What's the best body? What's this? And I think if you can't deliver it in your own words, it's like it's Chat GPT 101. It's like written off, and you sound like that as well. So I think people are getting lost in how they talk. I actually think like how you talk on camera is such a big one, and people are getting lost with just trying to follow the next big script to get the most amount of clicks, to get the most amount of leads, whatever it is. So I think people are, yeah, they're moving away from the authenticity when they should be like leaning into it a little bit more.
What 100% for organic has just consistently been the best approach until it wasn't, until it was again, right?
Yeah.
Now, for you as well, what are your thoughts on leaning into advertising versus organic? First of all, why? And two, what do you feel the benefits are, cons are?
Yeah. I've gone up and down about ads. Like sometimes, not so much now. I'm pretty solidified on them now, but for as long as I can remember, apart from maybe the last year or two when we started to use ads a little bit more, it's like, why would I take away from my revenue? Why would I take away from my margin by throwing all this money at ads? But an organic is incredible. You have that one video that pops off. I've had a video that popped off, and you make 50, 70, 80 grand from it, and you think, all right, this is easy. Let's do organic videos. Why do I need ads for? It's just up and down. It's up and down. It's so variable, and like as a business owner, like the variability in income is like the biggest mental challenge. One month you have 20K, next month you have 50, one month you have 10, and you're like, this is just, it's mental turmoil. Ads just gives you a baseline. You know, it gives stability. It gives almost like a I don't want to say guaranteed, but near guaranteed income, and that stability offers peace of mind. And then once you've got that stability, once you've got the system in place, it's just super scalable. If you were like one of the things that Samuel always tells me is like, if you wanted 1,000 followers tomorrow, where can you get it from? Organically or ads? Well, ads you can almost definitively get that tomorrow. Organic, you're just going to be throwing Hail Marys and hoping that it sticks.
Right. I think 100%. I think the consistent, predictable, scalable base is always going to be ads as, let's say, the primary client acquisition source, unless, you know, you already have a stupidly well converting cold outbound email, whatever it is, which is just not 99.9% of people, right? And then second, organic, I feel, is the biggest nurture tool. If you have a lead base as well already, going to be a lot easier to leverage ads. So if you already have a follower base, if you already had brand authority, everything's just going to convert better. And then vice versa as well. If you're doing well, if you've got ads that are converting, organics, of course, going to be one of the highest leverage moves to nurture that original lead base. But what mental barriers did you need to break to actually jump into the advertising game in the first place?
There was probably just like a limiting belief, like a barrier. Like I've been slow into it because of what's like my own holding myself back. Whether it's going to work, whether it's really just this predictable. It's always just going to be 3 ROI. It's an unknown, and it was so unknown for me. So really, it was just treading into the unknown. And once I started to see results, you're like, okay, this is going to work. Let's just go all in now.
Understood. And how did outbound systems work with your existing business with DMs? What changed in DMs? How did you look at volume as well, quality of setting as well? How did that whole process look for you and your business, would you say?
Measured. So I knew about outbound. I've had many mentors before working with you. So I was very well aware of the concept of outbound. I knew I had to be sending 100 plus DMs a day, and that was about it. There was nothing that allowed you to figure out what was going wrong in that process. How many people reply from that 100 messages? Of those 100 messages that have replied, how many of those people convert to a call? How many of those people you convert to a call do you close? So there was no definitiveness about it, which for sure, like if you've never done proper outbound, like you start doing a little bit, like you're going to get some results and it's going to feel like it works. But it's not going to work as well as it could do if you know where the leak in the bucket is. So as soon as we started to, which was difficult, transition to tracking every single metric there possibly could be, it's just definitive. Like, you know where the problem is. There's no guesswork. It's like, I send 500 messages, I know where the problem is. Is it the first message? Is it the second message? Is it the conversation? Is it the transition to a call? You definitively know where the problem is, and then you can go fix it.
And what do you feel led to your best months as well in terms of, first of all, where did we get to in terms of revenue, and what do you feel the processes were that actually got you there?
So November, December, like just gone for me. November, it must be $40,000, I think, in dollars. So it sounds nicer for everyone listening. And it's a combination of all of those things we kind of just mentioned, really. Like the ads just performing, the setting team doing what they should be doing, knowing exactly what the conversations they should be having, how to transition quick enough, organic being on point, nurturing people properly, showing up every single day, having good quality content, and just linking all that together, and having the right systems in place to convert those people in.
Understood. So for you, at what point in life, I guess in general, did your mindset change about money in general? As in, first of all, income, goals, targets, what you're trying to get to, and then, of course, scaling a business as well. What were the key levers, key points in life where your mental frame around that changed, would you say?
I had a good upbringing. My parents, they took me around the world when I was a kid. So I've had that thing in me to live a good life for a long time, and living a good life needs good money. I would say when I knew that this will be the route and this will be the way that I do it, probably 2021 maybe, 2020, and I would fully announce that this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to quit everything else. I'm going to go online coaching, and I made my first £10,000 in a month. Just from a few easy posts, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do now. Time to scale it.
Fair enough. And for you as well, where do you want to take the business, I guess, from what you see in terms of potential?
Yeah. The potential you see is pretty intimidating, to be fair. There's almost no cap. So to be real, to be really real, which is what these are about, I would be good with making towards $1 million a year. What's that, 75, 80K, 8 months, something like that. I'd be good at that. Super high profit margins, lean team, clockwork. That's a shitload of profit every month to build the dream life pretty quickly.
I'll tell you now, there was a big jump, I feel, when you hit those numbers, when more specifically when you're not the one taking the calls. I remember the first time we got there as well, biggest let's say freedom thing that actually felt real was when got off calls and you can hit those numbers. And I think closer high is probably going to be the biggest one where you're like, okay, out of it is just a chess game. You move pieces forward, you get this, put this in, get this out, and it becomes a numbers game from there. But freedom wise, is that what you are building for, would you say, from building the business itself?
For sure, for sure. I would love, like, my actual skill, I think, is actually top of funnel. It is like the organic. It is talking on camera. It is doing all the things that brings in the eyes. So if I can make the rest of it outsourced and with people that are very, 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 very good, yeah, that's the way it needs to go.
Now, more common themes that we keep stumbling across, I guess, on our end, because we take a lot of calls, let's say. And why do you feel people who get to the first 10, 20K a month feel like they've made it?
Because it's a lot of money for most people. It's a lot of money for most people, but without the risk of sounding like an asshole, like that's easy. Like that bit's easy. Like the 20 to 50, the 50 to 100, like that's where it can go, and it doesn't need to be super complicated. Like the actual funnel is really, really simple. I just think that, yeah, I think because it is quite a lot of money, it gives the people a lot of freedom relative to where they've been. If it feels like they've made it, you make $100,000 a year, you're 120 grand a year, you're in a high percentage of the population, but the real game is like you can 10 times that.
I felt the main thing that most people didn't understand as well is that if you're not growing, you're dying. It's a matter of, let's say, businesses don't always last forever. So the whole goal is to make as much money in a condensed period of time as possible, and so you can build leverage inside that business so it can be more passive and you can have consistent income across a longer period of time. And there's absolutely no way that's happening at 10, 20K a month. Yeah. At that point, everyone's pretty much still living inside their business. They're working a high-paying job, essentially, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, for you as well, if you're looking back at past mistakes, where do you feel, let's say you have made mistakes in the business that's cost you growth, more specifically?
It's moving all the parts at once. I'm very easily focused on one part, which then makes me drop a few other parts. I'd say the biggest thing is probably just committing to the actual systems and the tracking of everything, pretty much. Like when I first received what I was supposed to do from you, I was like, oh fuck, this is like my worst nightmare. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm the absolute opposite. But numbers move the business, so that was probably the hardest thing to get into.
Confidence in numbers, data scales is how I like data of emotion, or whatever it is. First mentor used to bang on about that as well. It's just data over emotion, because as soon as you make an emotional decision in business, it costs you growth, whether it's going backwards or the opportunity cost of how far you can go forward, right? So for you as well, you're not the new kid on the block as well. What do you feel was the difference in mentorships that you've had in the past, let's say, versus now? Not saying you need to bash anyone or anything like that, but in general.
I've got something out of every mentorship for sure. I think that's probably what a lot of mentorships are. Someone's a little bit better at one thing, blah blah blah. But I think I kind of got the concept from other mentors. Like, this is how it works. This is like the funnel. This is here. You got to go through it. But nothing really took me to. Nothing really took me to the level that I feel like I'm at now. And I don't want to keep going on about the numbers, but the numbers literally changed the game. It felt a little bit like guessing with other mentors. Did this work? Okay, let's just do more of that. Okay, but what is more of that? How do I do more of that? Whereas now it's like, oh, this worked. Why did it work? What time did that work? What was the wording? What was the structure of the sentence? What was this? Like, it's way more just logical and just thought out. Whereas I think a lot of mentors, like, you know, things just they'll work, and then they'll say, right, let's just do more of it. And that was a little bit of what I got in the past. and more of it leads to some good months, more of it sometimes doesn't work, and it's just not stable. It's not like predictable. It's not repeatable. So I think just the level of detail of the actual logic, it's not like complicated when you break it down. It sounds complicated if you don't know about all of it, but when you break it down, it's like, all right, cool, that makes sense. So I think just the numbers, the strategy, the definitiveness about why to do things.
Love to hear it. And for you, like, what broke first in the past when you tried to scale without the numbers and systems in place, would you say?
Me. Yeah, me. Like I've probably had that moment where I had that viral video, and then I get 120 calls in a month, and I had to do that myself. So I had to drop so much more of my life. So I broke, and I was on calls for 7 hours a day. Half of those calls I was too tired and didn't close, and the close rate was like 14% or something, right? So that was a big issue. But I've also had, moments where I'm doing all the setting, and then, I get sick, and then it's like, okay, well, now I've got no setting happening. So there's always there's always something that can break until you've got that system in place. So those are probably the two things off the top of my head.
Understood. I think it's always the best decision in business to build leverage as soon as you can, when you can, of course, when it makes sense, and build leverage properly, because I believe, anyways, general info out there is send this script, same one everyone's used for the past 10 years, yeah. Send the script, send more of it, get a VA to run the script, and then you try and do as much as you can yourself, right? Yeah. But what I feel is leverage is essentially getting these processes / people automated. So people automated meaning like accountability being automated as much as possible, whether that's with, I would say automations even with people. So people are leverage. So if someone can make sure that something is being done, something is being managed, and then with content, for example, technically automated content is advertising, right? Because you are putting money in. If you can put £1 in, get £5-10 out, then it's just how do we put more in and make sure we fix the bottlenecks as you scale the spend, right? So if you can build leverage in as many of those departments as possible, then you essentially have a scalable business. You have a consistent, predictable business, right? So where do you feel that, let's say, most coaches in general either misunderstand this or delay building leverage?
I think for me at least, you feel like you need to be doing it all yourself, and like it's my business, I should run this, I should do this, but this just holding everything back. Like you can't run each part of the business to a level that could be done if you'd stepped out and like increase the leverage that you've got there. So I think people are they're hesitant to hand it off because of a lot of it, because of the stigma around building businesses in fitness. At least there's a lot of stigma around, I don't want to do saying because I don't want to offload to a setter because I don't want it to sound automated or blah 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 blah. I don't want to do this because of this. It's like, okay, well, you're going to remain exactly where you are. So yeah, I think that's probably a combination of those.
Understood. 100% agree with you as well. Now, at which point in the business would you say that you felt like you had freedom inside the business? As in, at what income range would you say that felt like, okay, we're good now, we heads above the water, and what was in place at that point for you to get there?
I'd say for me, anything above like 25k pounds, like $30,000, above that, it's like you're breathing. You can look. You're looking above the water, and you can think where you want to go. As soon as you start to get towards that one number, 19, anything below 20k, it's like you for me at least, I start to feel a little bit more pressure because obviously it costs a little bit of money to keep the business going. And you can't think as clearly on the business. So as soon as I was above 25k consistently, it's like, okay, cool. Everything is about moving the business forward from there. And to get that into place, A lot of it's still myself for sure, but like the biggest thing is just the DM game, for sure. So right now, two setters, one BA, everything's clockwork, regular meetings, but the rest of it, it's still me. I still close myself, still do all the content myself. That's that range makes me feel pretty comfortable every
That's
day.
it. I think sales is probably one of the things that should stay in for as long as possible in content as well. Just the highest leverage brand face always closes higher until it gets to a point where either time zones cut you out of sales call availability or show up rate will just tank because there's too many calls and you have to book too far out, right? At that point, overflow closer has to come in pretty much, and then part-time, and they go full-time. So what does the team structure look like now, actually, outside the setters and VAs? How's the rest of the team look like?
I just have people who help me with content, so I just have to film, immediately get sent out with instructions of how I wanted it edited, and then have a coach under me as well, so it removes myself from having to coach so many people. I still coach a few people, but I'm slowly letting that come down and moving that more into a coach who can give more time. And then like the mentorship, I consider that as part of the team, for sure. Like we have regular meetings all the time, which really, really help move the business. And that's it.
Understood. So another question as well, more off topic here as well. What are your thoughts on collecting monthly payments only versus, let's say, packages paid in full, higher ticket?
I don't know. I don't even know what the right answer is here.
Controversial
Yeah,
question.
I can go back and forth all the time. One's considerably more scalable in my opinion. Like doing it paid in full, like it's there, it's in your money, it's in your bank, it's gone. Whether you like it or not, someone commits to a monthly plan of 6 months, 12 months, however you do it. Like they can just stop paying. Like you're not going to win a strike battle. It's so difficult to win. Have it happen all the time. If I can't get someone paid in full and like they are just going to join monthly, okay, that's fine. Like at the end of the day, I'm still going to help that person if I can. And like they can just stop paying and they can just stop replying, and you don't have that money, so you don't have that full cash available. So if I had a choice, it's paid in full every single time, because I'm guaranteed that money. I can use that money right there and then. If I get a 3K paid in full, like my ad's paid for the month for the moment, right? Versus someone paying me £300, I'm going to get that super delayed. So I'd love to have a combination of both. I think if I can have a guaranteed income rather than starting at zero every month, for me personally, I would love that, which I kind of have that balance now anyway, naturally. But yeah, if I had the choice, paid in full.
Paid in full is, I think, one of the biggest things is client acquisition costs being fueled for the next month by the previous month. So there's going to be costs of fulfilling on a client, whether that's 30, 40, 50 quid per client per month. It's going to be an acquisition cost of a client when it comes to inevitable leverage needing to be built around advertising. And then there's also going to be all your other, like, say, static costs, whether that's 5-10% of the actual cost that comes in, or if they're on a base and performance base. And then there's all these costs that stack up that's very, very hard to liquidate on a single month, right?
Yeah.
And then it's very, very hard to push a percentage of your new revenue into generating more clients, whether that's investing in team or advertising, whatever it is, right? And then the next big factor is, like, if one person comes in and they pay in full, are able to pay more for, let's say, even fulfillment to get them a better result, because you can have more contact time with a coach or whatever it is, right? And they get a better result out the end of it as well. Does that lead to more referrals, better testimonials, a better business overall? Probably, right? Because then you're playing a game of, like, of course, how big of a brand, how big of an authority do you want to be in the space? How do you want to be known in the space as well? Because remember, negative word of mouth spreads just as fast as positive word of mouth. Even faster, I should say, 100% faster, especially in our space, right? In the mentorship space, it's just an absolute shit show right now, right? It's actually so hard to advertise. By the way, I didn't mention, it's so hard to advertise for us, because our biggest objection is been burnt by like 5 different mentors before, right? So it's like that is, and it's just such a low trust industry basically, because not as competent people who are delivering information in the mentorship space, and of course they're going straight for profits, just get people in the door, get them out kind of thing, right? So very, very much stand against that. But main thing is, of course, when you're able to liquidate on an upfront with a client, you can get more people in and people will also speak better of you. But what have you seen, or in yourself as well, prior at any point? I think we all started at some point with some monthly somewhere. What have you seen were the biggest mental shifts that blocked you, or skill gaps that blocked you from collecting more upfront?
Knowing real sales, like sales, like a contact sport. You know, like when you really like. When I first started, I was like, "What do you mean get on a call? Like, ask them what they want to do, and then tell them that you do a training program, nutrition program, and hold them accountable." That's all I did. Was like, "This is what my offer includes. I will do this for you." But truly understanding the psychology of sales, I think we had a call like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, and we ran over like 5 minutes of one of my calls, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I see what's wrong. You're not playing the same game. You need to just shift your brain to like the proper sales psychology of like where people are at, what impact it's having on them, the cost it costs these people to stay exactly where they are, and genuinely, like, I know sales has a bad rap anyway. Sales, in my opinion, is just helping someone realize that they really need your help. They do, and you're going to change their life. Ultimately, you've got a product that's going to change their life. So, whatever technique it is or tactic or conversational aspect that you use to help someone realize that they shouldn't be stuck anymore, because you can fix this super easily. That was like the biggest shift, and I'd immediately go from like 20 to 30% close rate, and I've been above 40% since. Same. Everything else is the same. It's just the actual skill of being able to sell. Ultimately, that was the biggest thing.
It's a very, very valuable skill. And I also think like a different issue that we've seen across the board as well, just in general, not yourself specifically, but when there's, let's say, less authority, less brand in the space, it's just a lack of the nurture process being done properly. Even like considering DMs as first point of contact, that is a nurture process on its own. Sales assets in the DMs as well, if there's no long form out there, like a VSL being sent in the DMs, and then the content being actually targeted to top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, to get people through a buying process. Because the first thing everyone says is just lead quality, right? When if the sales process was done properly, people want to buy your thing, right? Mm-hmm. And if there was enough social proof out there, that's transformations, testimonials positioned well, and of course getting client results, that's a very, very big part of it. Now, that being done properly alongside, of course, huge leverage in sales skills, the offer positioning, the actual call itself, even tonality, language, the objections being handled properly as well. It's just two sides of a coin, basically, different games to be played there. So where else do you feel, let's say, there may have been gaps inside the business prior in general?
The fulfillment, for sure. Like, it was just me. That's all I did. That's all I did was fulfillment, which just took away bandwidth to think on the business. You sit there for 30 check-ins a day, emotionally involved with someone. Like, the last thing you want to do is start filling in DM numbers. You're not going to do that. So actually being able to transition myself away so much from coaching all of the people to fulfillment was a bottleneck for sure. As soon as I got away from that, brain power came back. That was a real big one for me.
Why do you think people do stay in fulfillment for so long?
I think they probably just think people can't do it as well as them. And they're like, it's like their baby, it's their brand. You're not going to do it as well as me. Well, if they don't do it as well as you, it's your problem. Go fix it. Like, go coach them to be better, or don't hire that person.
crazy. The amount of people that say, you know, I'm the best coach in the
Yeah,
world.
you're not.
You actually suck at hiring, onboarding, training, and management. It's just a direct translation there because realistically, right, you coach 100 clients. If you get another 100 clients, is the level of delivery going to be the same for the next 100?
It's gone.
Regardless of if you have the best information in the world, does not matter, right? Now, for you as well, what were the biggest, let's say, mindset shifts, mental beliefs that helped you on your journey in general at different stages as well?
I don't know how to explain like the mindset belief or whatnot, but like I've always had I can't do that. I can't charge that. I'm not that person. You know, I hear people charging 2K plus. I mean, it's more than that now. 2K plus for 6 months. I'm thinking I can't do that. I'm 1,200. I can't do that. That's crazy. Until you do it, and then you do it, and then you have that shift. So I had a big block about the pricing. I had a big block about sales. Like I find it awkward as it is, but like the repetition and the time invested. Yeah, it's those things really help. I think those are the biggest shifts. Really, just getting myself out of, because I've been in bodybuilding. Right, bodybuilding coaching is it's low ticket. It's high input from the coach. Like you've got to work harder. You talk more than once a week. It's a lot. So I just came from that camp of I can't charge more. They could go somewhere else for £150, you know, a month, which they can, but a lot of people they just don't want to do that, you know. Also accepting that for some people to commit, they actually need to pay you more. You know, like a low ticket offer will get you a low ticket client with a low ticket mentality of not sticking to the plan. You know, so shifting my brain from that scarcity mindset of just get every client account no matter what the price to like, no, this is good for you if you pay this type of thing.
Interesting. Thinking about it now, was actually a very, very common thing across a lot of the people who came to us from the bodybuilding space. It was like, but this person's an IFBB pro, or this person's also an IFBB pro, and he's placed above me, and he charges this much. It's like, where does this come from exactly? And I think it's more of a belief that people are paying for the result, the transformation, and the level of accountability service to make sure they get the result as well. Not necessarily like, have you done it for yourself? Because can you do it for another 100 people? That increases your prices. Now, can you relate to the person enough to understand their problem so they feel like you can actually deliver the service to get them the result? Another thing. And then you go into like stages of like, okay, me being able to do it for myself isn't actually the main thing that drives up the price. It's just the first thing, right? And then everything else on top of that stacks. But very interestingly, big issue in the bodybuilding space.
Huge.
It's just, I think maybe it's the circle.
Yeah, it is the circle. I can think of 5 coaches right now who are probably really good, 150 quid a month.
Yeah,
I'm like, why would I do that? Like, why would I charge like triple what they do? It's a different audience, and it's the result that you sell. And that was a big thing with bringing in another coach. It was like, they can't pay the same amount for him as they would do for me, right? I'm like, well, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Same deliveries. Like, why would it be less? It's like, it's just the delivery that they want. It's just the result that they want. And as soon as people do 2 or 3 weeks, they see results, they forget that you're even involved. You know, I don't even know if half these people know that they're in my business, my coaching business, because they've got such a good coach in front of them.
100%. And it also gets to a point where you have to understand, because you are face of the business, does not mean that people won't buy the system that you have built to get the result.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, like, you know, for our fitness business, 5 coaches there, very health longevity based. But anyways, it just became a matter of like, this is the system I built. I wasn't in the process at all. I didn't know which leads exactly were coming through. Well, I wasn't in sales either at that point. And then fulfillment, I just saw clients get a result, 80% retention rate as well, which was insane. But 3K 6 months, like, what was the difference there between what anyone else can get for an insane transformation, which didn't involve me, by the way. It was purely trust in the system that gets the results, and then being able to market that system, sell it, convert people on the front end, and consistently generate attention. For us, that was heavy on the outbound DMs and advertising, right? So for you as well, like what other fears have you commonly seen in people in that, even the 10 to 20, 30 range, would you say that has bottlenecked growth?
I think probably a lot of the things that we've talked about here today, the fear of getting out of the business so much rather than being in it. It's probably one of the biggest ones. You need to have a hand in everything, which you need to have an eye on everything, but you don't need to have like your full commitment into it. And probably the fear of making this an actual business rather than a one-man show. I think as soon as I started to think a bit like a business with each part of the business having a different function, I think people just say, yeah, I coach people. I coach people, but I also, deliver high-value content, talk to a lot of people, talk to people on the phone. Like, there's a lot of aspects of that business. So I think 10 to 20K, you're just a coach. You're just a coach who coaches a lot of people. You're not a businessman. You're not a businesswoman. And as soon as you make that mental shift to like, I'm a CEO, I'm someone who runs a business with people under me, and this is their function, you'll stay stuck just trying to coach as many people as you physically can.
I agree completely. And I believe the belief of that being possible, of certain things being possible, that stops most people, like running their first ad or hiring their first setter, or even hiring a setter that can actually perform, not just someone that burns leads, right? Yeah. Or even charging more. It's, I commonly say as well, it's very, very similar to someone who's, let's say, like 200 kilograms and overweight, obese, right? You tell them that they could have a six-pack, they will just be like, absolutely impossible. Yeah. Not true. I'm not even trying to get there. I'm happy at this. I'll just be happy with like 20K down or whatever it is, right? Yeah. That's all from a perspective of never being there and never knowing how to actually get there. Because you go to them and you're like, I've managed to get into this shape. The first thing they'll be like, oh, it's too hard for me. Or it's too difficult. Or they're doing something which I can't do because of this one thing that shortcuts their past that I don't have, right? You tell them, every single excuse pops up, and it's wild how similar it is with online fitness coaches. Supposedly like very, very mentally disciplined in all areas, right? And then you look at their discipline in certain things, like just sending some DMs, right? Or just learning how to close a call, right? And it's the same thing I see again and again. It's from a perspective of either not knowing the process or never being there to that stage that makes it seem impossible to get to like 50K a month or 100K a month or whatever it is past that.
I mean, I've been in this space of like growing a business for years and years and years, and the people that leapfrog me and do it quicker, they lack that fear. They lack that, oh, I hope this doesn't happen. They just don't have that. They're like, I'll just try it, right? They're the ones who just do it, like, because of whatever reason, And that's held me back for sure. Oh, I couldn't do that. I've always had that, right? I'm working on it, and I think I've shifted a lot of it. But the people that achieve it the quickest, the best, the most efficient, they're the ones who just balls deep. They just jump in.
100%. No fear of failure when everything's a lesson.
Exactly.
Now, the next thing as well, if you had, this might actually be related to the previous question. If you had to restart tomorrow, what would you ignore completely?
A lot of the mentors say, who just say more, and I would probably try and figure out what the system looks like from start to finish, and just make sure it's oiled. I think it took me a long time to realize that every part of the system needs to work, and I'd have just chinks everywhere.
It becomes more important what you don't listen to than what it does, because 99% of ideas, options are either going to slow us down or definitely not going to help us grow, right? So there's only like a handful of things that need to be done that produce 8% of the results, like everyone knows, like whole 80-20 thing, right? And we've spent myself personally spent over 120 grand on mentors now, so I've seen every single piece of information out there. And then if I really, really dial it down to like what actually helped me scale and what absolutely slowed me down, it's like super, super clear. There was just so much fluff in generic kind of mentorships where it's just recycled template stuff. And even worse, my God, the biggest mistake we've made consistently throughout the years is hiring agencies to try and do something that we weren't as good at.
Yeah.
We always thought agencies were the fix because, you know, it sounds great, done for you, all of this being put in place. And we've burnt so much money because they charge you a stupid amount to either click some buttons on ads or like edit some content here and there, whatever it is. And then you realize it's just like being handed off to the shittest person who can get the job done.
Yeah.
And you get the shit result, which if you just spent like an hour learning how to do the thing yourself better, it would have been done at 10 times better, at 10 times better speed, but also at a better quality that actually helps your business grow. So you're also stacking the skills, so you don't just collapse at a certain point. You realize, okay, something's not working as well anymore. The ads they were running, they're now not working, but no one knows how to fix it because the person who was trying to do it doesn't know how to fix it, and they don't care enough about the account. Like they don't care enough about you because they have so many people that they're trying to done for you, fulfill with. We've wasted so much money and it's cost us so much growth. It's just like the biggest mistake consistently, which we continue to make again and again and again when it comes to anything. So like, okay, if we pay more for this agency, this one is going to be the magical fix. It just never was, not once. So yeah, no, that was easily like biggest mistakes. Ignore all the agency noise, learn everything yourself and get good, hire, delegate, leverage. But that always came from a point of like, I don't have time to do this myself. That whole issue on its own is the bottleneck. That's what needs to be fixed. Yeah. That's where you need leverage. And that's when you need the mental space to do this. And it can be done at the same time if both are being done efficiently. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We learn. But Fears of, what do you feel information was that was a bit too generic on what you should work more on?
Hard. And the reason why it's a bit harder for me to answer is because it did help me. Like it did help me. Because if you go from a place of just knowing fuck all to someone teaching you how the funnel looks, just like, I remember I paid, oh my God, it's killed me. I paid 20 grand for a 2-day mastermind with William Brown. You know William Brown? And 98% of it, I was just like, why the fuck am I here? You know? The first 2% where he like, I didn't even know what a funnel was. I didn't even know what nothing was. I can't believe I paid that now. I think about that. That was February last year, 2 years ago. And like, it just, you know, so much of it was just completely irrelevant. And I'm not going to say that 20 grand was worth the 2%, but the 2% taught me the first step. And then, you know, I went to another one, I learned the next 5%. I went to another one, learned the next 5%. So it did help because I knew nothing before. But once you get into these mentorships and you get fobbed off from the mentor to the coach, who, I don't know why he's a coach, because if he knows how to make me 100 grand a month, why is he not making 100 grand a month? Which just like baffled my brain. And I remember I got quite friendly with my coach and I asked him, I was like, if you're supposed to be making me 50 grand a month, like, why don't you? He's like, I could feel his anxiety come up. And then he would just be like, I prefer helping people. I'm like, yeah, but you could help people. And you know, and then that was like when the cracks in my brain, I was like, all right, I need to shift here. But once you understand the process, once you understand how it works, once you understand the systems together, like it's just super generic and everyone's got to copy and paste. Everyone's on the same call. Everyone's been told to do the same thing. And then you go on Instagram and then you see everyone's same story. Fuck it. I'm sick of seeing this, you know. And anyone who knows that story, you're laughing as well right now. And you just see this sea of coaches, 100 of them who are all in the same mentorship, and they all say the same thing, and you're like, and I can never do it. It's just it's not personal. It's generic. And sure, you'll pick up a few here and there, and it'll feel like it works here and there if you don't understand where it could go. But if you really want to scale the business and you really want to go there, that's not where the magic is. That's nothing.
I'm trying not to die laughing because you've said like word for word what I think pretty much everyone's seeing right now as well. And almost every single call we take, it's like handed off to a coach who got to 10K a month, got stuck, dwindled back down, became a coach, or got put in a Slack channel, wait 10 days for a reply, get some generic response from someone who doesn't actually know how to fix a problem. or the level of information was just too generic and too low for what's needed. So, like, I stopped looking at it. I actually do think, there's always something to be learned from all of the information you can get out there, 100%. But then when I stopped looking at it as like, okay, I'm looking for just the positives in all of this and being like, what did it actually cost me in terms of opportunity, of potential growth? And I realized like how expensive some of the information I listened to was, and where I could have been in a lot shorter time period. Then I was like, okay, like I have to be hyper specific about the information I'm taking in because it costs me time, cost me growth, and all of it, and all of the, let's say, potential you could get to as well. And that helped. So it's helped dial stuff in, but it's just so difficult for people that have been with multiple mentors, just down and out, basically, just lost hope in the space, basically.
Yeah. And there's just so many doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So many, all of them nearly.
Yeah.
I can barely think of people who work the way that we do. I don't know off the top of my head.
I mean, what advice would you say you have for someone that is looking for outside help to scale their business and they don't know where to go, essentially?
There's a few key points. Like I would say, like you want to figure out who you're going to be working with, for sure. And there's no knock at the coaches. Like they know the systems. The coaches under the mentors, they know the systems. But the mentor, the person who's done it, who's built their £1 million business, like they see things you don't see. They've walked the walk that you want to walk. They've been there. You need to be in contact with that person. And that's the biggest thing for me. I think if you're not getting anything, I want to say tangible in the sense of someone it's difficult without getting into the mentorship and you doing it. But if you're getting something where someone's just said, you've got to do more content, you've got to send more DMs, you've got to get more people on calls, and you've got to get a second coach, and you've got to get more coaches. That stuff's all great, but how, like, and the things that make that measurable are the things that take it to the next level. Because in essence, if you want to grow your business, like, do those things. That's it. But can you just go do them? It's like, why do fat people need help? And they know what to do. They only need to eat less. They only need to train more. But they don't, because they need someone to help them apply it. So you know how to grow a business, close more people and keep more people in your business. But how you measure it, those things are considerably more important. And if you get a mentor who's just telling you to do more content because you'll get more leads, like, it's okay, but like, what type of content? Who am I talking to? There's so much to it. So my biggest piece of advice is, in fact, my only piece of advice is just make sure you're working with the actual person who's done it. I think that's the biggest piece, because it's so hard to find. It's so hard to find. I've been with 5 mentors. This is the only one where I've had FaceTime consistently to the point where you know what I've got to do, what I've got going on, and you can think, like, it's not just a once a month, once every 2 month occasion where you have to give them a full rundown of where your business is every single time, and they've forgotten half of it, and they're trying to give you like advice on the fly, which sometimes sticks, sometimes doesn't. I think that's probably the biggest thing right now in mentorships.
Could not agree more. And I look for the exact same thing as well. Now, a really, really big key part of this, I think, is also you. Like, there's just simply people that we know we are going to work well with, and we just won't take on. Like, there's no ego behind taking in information and executing and knowing that the data is there to make these decisions. It's just, we can see a mile out when someone just has way too much ego around, like, okay, this is the only thing that works, that's it, not going to do anything else, right? And this is the only thing that works for me because it got me to here. But then it's like, this is also what's got you capped at your growth potential right now. Like, it could be here. And when there's no ego behind execution and like wanting to learn and actually doing the thing as well, it becomes very, very easy to work with and scale as well. So I do think the person who is actually doing the mentorship is important as well. Now, I also don't think that's necessarily like the limiting factor that's stopped them growing versus the like 3 testimonials that someone else puts out there. So this person got to this a month. Just like, okay, let's look at their profit margins and break down
Yeah,
the
yeah,
numbers, and let's find out what's actually happened and how consistent was that across their entire client base. Then you're like, okay, one big thing I always say to pretty much anyone that comes to the sales school is like, ask the other mentor for their entire client list. If they're okay you messaging every single one of their client, then fine.
yeah.
But
9 times out of 10 they say, yeah, here's 2 you can message.
here's 2. Here's our best testimonials that you can message. Don't worry about the other 8%. But
Yeah.
this is why our system works. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, right? And then I mean, you know, I guess more for yourself as well. Like, if you had to speak to earlier self in business, what would you tell yourself back then that would help you now?
Get help earlier. Jump in right away, as soon as possible. Even if you haven't got a business yet, I think I'd just be so much quicker, so much more efficient, and you'd be exposed to the mindset that you need to have, and the people that, like, you know, everyone who jumps on these calls every single week, they all have the same mindset. They want to grow. They're open to be wrong. They want to, you know, they've got that growth mindset. And if you're a little coach in, you know, not in Dubai, somewhere else, you probably don't know any other coaches who are doing the same money as you're doing. You want to be a little bit higher. Like, it's like you need to be around that environment, and the only way to do it is to get into these types of mentorship. So I'd get help earlier. Be like overly ready to be wrong a lot and to fail a lot, because it's the quickest way to the top.
100%. Josh, absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you for your time. And any closing thoughts?
No, the people that watch this, they're probably on the fence of mentorships, curious. I think it's a one-way ticket to do the thing that you probably want to do, to get the help that you need. So just do it and jump.
Awesome. It's Josh Bridgman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.